Yes, as Brett Musburger would say, you are looking live. You are looking live. Who's the first one in? Raider Dom. Man, you beat Big D. Big D might be in Maui or something. So, welcome to March Madness. The madness is kicked off today. Got a weird show today. Good show today. We got Pete Rose's son, Tyler Rose. He's going to come in studio and talk about his dad, who was a dear friend of mine. We got Bill Williamson, who's the longest tenured Raider insider, and one of the youngest, Levi Edwards.
Stunning diamond jewelry, including earrings, bracelets, and necklaces, all in the latest styles. Visit the Diamond Store in Boca Park, Mexico Grill. The Diamond Store, the official diamond jeweler of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Hey, Jeff, how's the new job working out?
Really sucks. Terrible boss, and the paycheck is even worse. I gotta get a new job.
Truck you.
Wait, what?
Truck you.
You don't have to curse it.
What's happening, everybody? I'm in cruise mode. My in-laws came to town to watch the dog in the house, and we're going on a cruise and going to go cruise the Mediterranean of Mexico. I'm excited. Tried to eat well, tried to not partake in everything, but we'll see. Little work trip, Norwegian Bliss. Pat from Woodward. Wow, Pat, good to see you. Let me see this. We're going to have Tyler Rose, Pete Rose's son in here, so I want to make sure I can move this around. We got a guest in studio today. Put your topics in the chat. What do you want to talk about today other than March Madness? I'm in Vegas, and no one on this channel seems to want to talk about anything other than Raiders, and that's not going to work today. So I need some March Madness upsets. I got Auburn, Alabama State. That Creighton-Louisville game was good today. Purdue just won. All right. Purdue just won. So let's get some March Madness scores going, some bracket scores. No major upsets. Creighton beat Louisville. They dominated them. Hope everybody's enjoying March. We ready to do this, Bobby? Bobby's going to Dead and Company tomorrow night. Did you say? Would you say floor or what's that? 300? Where are you?
Oh, I'm up for the 400.
Yeah, that'll be great. You'll love it.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
I mean, I'm not looking to see the band. I know what the band looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to see it all, man. You're going to be, and the fact that John Mayer's putting new videos in is cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
So his mic is here, which is good.
Yep.
Good.
Turned on already.
Norm Clark passed away today.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio, your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we are here on Thursday, let the madness begin. Welcome to March Madness. Games are in progress. Auburn, Alabama State underway. Auburn is the number one seed of the entire tournament. We welcome in the fraternal order of the men of khaki pants, everyone who's ascended on Vegas for some shenanigans for 3 to 4 days. No place better in the world to be than Las Vegas right now. From the Circa all the way to the M Resort, to Virgin, who we represent, to Resorts World, wherever you're watching the games. If you're listening to me while you're in the car, you're listening to us after the show on the delayed podcast, or you're watching us live on YouTube at JT the Brick YT. That's a free channel, and we got a bracket contest going on there. So today's show is going to be really unique because it's going to go all over the place, and I kind of like doing that every once in a while. So coming in studio on his way here is Tyler Rose. He is the son of the late Pete Rose. He wants to come in and talk about his dad And Pete and I were really tight. Pete gave me a big break. The all-time hit king son is here. He's going to come in studio with me, and we're going to talk for 15, 20 minutes about his dad. And we've been trying to do this for a while, and he can only do it today to kick off March Madness, and I'm thrilled to have him in studio. Tyler Rose, Pete Rose's son, on the legacy of his father. As you know, Pete passed away recently. Norm Clark passed away, who was the acclaimed featured columnist, entertainment reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He was a friend of mine. He was a friend to many. And if you ever had your name mentioned, and I was lucky to have it a few times in his column, you felt like you made it. And Norm would sit at the bar and he'd look for celebrities and scoops. And he was one of the best people I know in town, a super celebrity. From Piero's to the old Nine Steakhouse, to the Wynn, to the old Riviera, to the Dunes back in the day, whatever it was, we lost an institution in Vegas. I want to dedicate the energy of the show to Norm Clark. May he rest in peace. He was a great guy. We were friends. Whenever I walked into a bar, a restaurant, a big event, Norm would be there, shaking his hand. He wore an eye patch over his eye, and he was world famous. Celebrities knew him, from George Clooney to Rod Stewart to boxers to Steve Wynn. This guy was great, and I'm going to miss him a lot. And he just passed away. He was in hospice, and a couple of my friends were there to say goodbye to him. So, Norm, we love you. Rest in peace. And if you're in Vegas, you know who Norm is, and we're really going to miss him. So that's how I'm opening the show today. I wanted to mention Norm, and then Tyler Rose is going to come in, Pete Rose's son. The longest tenured Raider insider, Bill Williamson, at 12:45. He's going to recap what's going on here. Where's the Geno contract? I think Geno's fine. We're going to find out what about Christian Wilkins redoing his contract to open up more money. Does anybody know anything about Christian Wilkins now, what he looks like? We need this guy to play big. I'm happy he's here. I'm thrilled he's here. We need him to play great, not good. Okay? He can't play like a guy coming off an injury. He has to be elite. We'll dive into that with Bill Williamson. Also, Nick Rabone's going to join us, the coach of UNLV's national championship hockey team. They won a hockey championship. It's a really big deal. We love hockey. We're going to talk to him at the top of next hour. He's going to tell us what that was like. They beat Denver, a Division I team, and they just played some really big hockey and won the national championship. He's going to join us. And then Levi Edwards in the second hour at the bottom of the hour. Maybe Cliff Atkinson, the president of Virgin Hotels. They have no juice betting going on at Virgin, and a lot of people are betting their tournament over at Virgin because there's no juice. There's no vig, and it's a better way to bet. Hopefully he'll join us a little bit later on in the show. And then your phone calls, if they're out there. Because, again, you know, I'm like a guy, I make pizzas for a living. If no one comes and buys a slice, all my pizzas get thrown out at the end of the day. I look at it the same way with my phones. I got 9 lines for Raider fans all over the globe. I know I intimidate some of them. I know, as Bobby said, I could be a little brash. I know I talk too much sports. I'm too much of a sports guy, but I'm here for the Raider Nation every day for 2 hours. I'd like to talk to other football fans, but we focus on Raider Nation Radio in this window to talk Raiders football. And if you want to dive in on that, on any topic with the Raiders, free agency, now it's getting good. I'll be off next week going on the Raider cruise, cruising for the first time in my life. We're taking suggestions on what I should pack as we go on a cruise, my wife and I, for the first time, with Lincoln Kennedy, Willie Galt, Reggie Kinlaw. They got 50, Bob Golick. There's like a lot of cool alumni there, and I'm going to be the host. So we're going to be doing like 2-hour chalk talks and interviews with these guys on the ship, and then we'll run around and have a lot of fun. And no live stream, no radio. I'm turning everything off. Maybe a little backyard brick and a Twitter feed. But we're gonna take some time and hang with the Raider Nation. Hung with some season ticket holders last night. The Raiders had a nice event for season ticket holders, a few select ones of them at the Palms. So we had a great night there last night and bumped into a lot of people, really cool people overall. All right, so March Madness is here today. I want to begin with Clark Kellogg and Ernie Johnson on Greg Gumble passing away. This is how they kicked off March Madness on CBS.
Nobody loved the Stones more than Greg Gumble. And a year ago at this time, we were waiting on a friend to return. We knew he was missing March Madness, an event for which his name is synonymous, for personal reasons. Just after Christmas, we learned that cancer had taken his life. We were crushed. A void was left that will never be filled. We wear his pin on our jackets, and we carry his memory in our hearts. Here with Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith, Clark Kellogg. It's heavy in here.
Yeah, sure is. And it's sad and surreal that he's not in that chair and won't ever be in that chair again because he was so good at what he did. And he was so good to the people he did it with and for. You, the viewers, were who he sought to serve. And in doing that with class, with competence, with consistency, with gentleness and kindness, he lifted all of us who had the privilege of being in the orbit of his colleagueship and friendship. And while I'm sad, I'm extremely grateful to have known Greg as a colleague, as a friend, because he made everybody not only better, but he made everybody feel good. And that will never change.
That was a nice touch. Ernie Johnson, Clark Kellogg, and then they went to Barkley and Kenny Smith. But I wanted to get those two guys because they knew him the best. And, you know, I'm talking about people passing away today. Pete Rose, Norm Clark, Greg Gumble. And an interesting story that my wife and I are massive Stones fans. I met my wife anonymously walking into a Rolling Stones concert. So my wife and I, my kids would not be born today if the Rolling Stones didn't come to Vegas. She wouldn't have went. I wouldn't have went, and we never would have met. Never, no chance we ever would have met. Zero. So I believe in fate. And I didn't know Greg Gumble, Bobby, was a massive Stones fan. Massive. And he traveled the world like I do to see the Rolling Stones. So I just thought that was a nice touch. I didn't know Greg Gumble was a Stones fan. I wish I did. I would have reached out on that. Maybe would have bumped into him at a show. So Greg Gumble not being there as we kick off March Madness. I'll keep you up to date with the scores, if there's some buzzer beaters, anything that's happening throughout the show. If you got an upset, I'd love to get your upset. So, you know, join in on that. If you have an upset, 702-365-9200 here, and we'll get you on the radio. I'm pretty jam-packed today. So if you want to call in early. I'll get to you quick. I won't make you wait, and we'll get this show rocking. And I'm excited about that. Auburn 12, Alabama State 5. I think Auburn's going to win this game quite easily. I want to thank everybody over at the Strat. We were there yesterday. We had a nice turnout, a nice time as we were at their sports book there, which was fantastic. So that was a lot of fun yesterday at the Strat, and spent a couple hours there with their Las Vegas March Madness crew. Had a lot of fun. And I got buddies in town who just landed. I was looking at my phone. They've just landed, and they are on the ground. And they are staying at the Cosmo, and they are ready to rock for March Madness. So planes are landing. Planes are landing by the dozens right here in Las Vegas. I call it Las Vegas International Airport. I'm allowed to call the airport whatever the hell I want. I call it Las Vegas International Airport. Sorry, Bobby, I do. And it's my airport. I can call it whatever I want. I just call it the airport. People say, where are you at? I'm at the airport. And I got buddies who are landing now. Now, this guy is my best leadoff hitter. He's like a cleanup hitter, but leading off. It's like putting Aaron Judge in the leadoff spot. Every year he goes to Tahoe for March Madness. He's under the influence now of Crown Royal. He's with his buddies. He loves March Madness. The great Chris in West Oakland. Kick it off.
JT, well, first off, I did start out with a Bloody Mary. You know, it's important to get the tomato juice and the olives, a little bit of nutrients, but that was about 8:30 this morning. I'm probably a half dozen crowns in. I'm trying to pace myself because I'm going to be in here till 10 o'clock. But you're right, man. There's nothing like March Madness. I'm here being my son Zach's up here. He's side by side, pounding them with me. It's just, like I said, this is my Super Bowl, man. I promise you my drunken phone call, and I'm not going to disappoint. I'm flying high. I loaded up on North Carolina and Xavier. And it's fun. I don't know if you hear me in the background. Harvey, you wouldn't recognize it. There's construction going on in here. They're completely remodeling the place, but they've got the room set up for us. But, man, like I said, I loaded up on Xavier in North Carolina. Started the day a little bit slow today, but I'm still up ahead. But it doesn't matter. This is my Super Bowl, man. And the best thing about it, better than the Super Bowl, I get 4 days of this. And then I get a bonus this year. In 6 days, I'm going to be at Chase Center because we've got the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. I'm going for St. John's and Florida. I'm a big Rick Pitino fan. I'd love nothing more after he got run out of Louisville. I'd love for him to hoist the trophy on the first Monday night in November and have the commissioner of the NCAA have to give it to him. But like I said, man, I know you get to experience New Orleans this year with your son. It's a great time up here. Zach comes up. I know you know him every year. It's just, like I said, this is my time of the year, brother, and I don't have a whole lot else to say because if I do, I'm going to start cussing because I've been drinking since 8:30 in the morning. But like I said, I promised you my drunken phone call. This is it. I'm going to pace myself because I got to make
Well, how are you going to pace yourself? There's no naps involved. There's lunch. So you had the Bloody Mary. You're on the Crowns now. Do you you load up on lunch, or will lunch make you sleepy? Like, how do you get through this and pace yourself?
Just have lunch, all at some point pop a 5-hour energy because, I've gotten a little bit older. Hey, what I would have done 20 years ago, is probably frowned upon in society nowadays. So I'm going to go with the legal means of staying
okay. Fair enough.
Alert. But like I said, man, this is the best time of the year. I can't get enough of it. And I promise you sometime in the next couple of years, my bucket list is Vegas. I love Tahoe, but I want to do Vegas and I want to do the Westgate, and I want you to be side by side sitting on one of those couches next to me.
Absolutely.
Screaming at the screen while the great Jeff Sherman is setting these lines and watching people scream back and forth as we get screwed out of a half-point buzzer beater that they say is a meaningless basket unless you got money on it. Thanks, my friend.
You got it, Chris.
By the way, have a great time on your cruise, man. I'll talk to you next week.
You got it, man.
Or next time you're back on the air.
Yeah, I'm back on the air a week from Monday. So thank you. Some Chris from West Oakland, a tradition unlike any other. Not hammered, but admitting he's drunk because he's there up in Tahoe at a packed sports book at Harvey's where everyone is there. Our sports books are packed today throughout Vegas. If you're on your way to a sports book or a viewing party, let us know. Let us know if you got an upset, 702-365-9200 as we open up the show here. The other big storyline today is Shedeur. There's a couple of people now expecting the Raiders potentially to take Shedeur, even though we, the Raider Nation, have Geno at number 6. Wow, that puts me in a really tough spot because I have strong opinions, but normally I don't get in the way of John Spytek, right? John Spytek probably could be listening, and I trust John Spytek and Tom Brady. I trust Brady and Spytek on the quarterback. They got us Geno. We got to find out what Geno is going to get with an extension, what it's going to be, how that's going to affect the Raiders going forward, how many years. And if we end up getting Shedeur at 6, I'm not going to throw pots and pans. He will be the eventual face of the franchise and the future of Las Vegas. He'll be bigger than any hockey player, any basketball player, any celebrity. It'll be Shedeur will be the star of Las Vegas. I don't have a problem with that. I actually think we need a face of the franchise other than Max. And Geno could be that guy. So I just know if Geno's there and Shedeur's sitting behind him, I know Raider Nation as good as anyone who's ever walked this planet. It's going to get loud, and a lot of people are going to want Shedeur. And I think that's going to be a little bit loud for me because if Geno throws a couple of picks in a game and half of Allegiant Stadium is yelling for Shedeur, that is not a good thing. I'm not looking forward to that. Now, if they take Ashton Genty at number 6 and Shedeur goes to number 7 to the Jets, Shedeur will be in New York. But I think what's going to happen is Shedeur is going to go number 3 to the New York Football Giants because the Giants have been so bad. They've been such a train wreck that if they pass on Shedeur Sanders, they'll never live it down. You know, the Raiders took Jamarcus Russell, and I remind everybody, let me tell you the big difference between Jamarcus, Cam Ward, and Shedeur. Everybody wanted Jamarcus number 1. There was nobody. Mel Kiper Jr., everybody back then were not like, oh, avoid Jamarcus Russell. I looked at the tape. Don't take him. Let him go. No, everybody wanted him. I was there for it. I anchored the draft in Oakland for it. If Al Davis didn't select him number 1, 10 teams would have taken him at number 2. Not 2 teams, 10. So the consensus was Jamarcus was the player and he's going to be great. Now the consensus is no one knows who's going to be better, Cam or Shedeur. More people are leaning towards Cam Ward than Shedeur. If Jamarcus Russell, if we can come back in the hot tub time machine, was coming out in this draft out of LSU, he'd be the consensus number 1 by a long shot. So at times you can take the best player available and it can turn out to be a bust. Or you can wait and take Jaden Daniels and turn everybody down who's calling, hey, we got 3 first-round picks. We'd like to trade our 3 firsts for Jaden Daniels. You know what the commander said? No, we're not taking your call. We're taking him. And look at them. They go to the NFC Championship game. So the quarterback saga here with the Raiders should be solved with Geno Smith. You've heard it on this show. I've interviewed enough people. I've interviewed enough people who like Geno. They're saying Geno's good. I was never a big Geno guy. You know, I've been on the radio Geno's whole career. Most of it he didn't play. Most of it he was a backup who didn't get in the game as a backup. Then all of a sudden he went to Seattle and got really good with Pete Carroll and played at a Pro Bowl level and won games. And he won more games in the last 2 years than Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow. Let that sink in. He won more games than Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford. What's more important to you, 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns or wins? To me, it's wins. I've seen it all. From Dan Marino going to the Super Bowl as a rookie. I've seen Brett Favre. I was in Oakland when Favre's father passed away, that famous night in Oakland when he was throwing daisy cutter bombs in the end zone. I've seen them all. I've seen Montana play. I've seen them all in the modern era. And I can tell you now, a quarterback is critical only if he wins. And I think Geno's a winner. I think that Geno loves to win and compete because he played under Pete Carroll. And with all due respect to our former coaches here in the silver and black, nobody wants to win or knows how to win with competition better than Pete Carroll. There's other winners. Andy Reid has won more than Pete Carroll. But Pete is famous for competition. Andy Reid's team, they'll draft a bunch of shady guys and put them in there. You know, Tyreek Hill was the best wide receiver in football for years. I think he's got 12 kids now, Bobby. 12. He had 5 kids in the last 18 months. 5. And I think by 3 different women. Okay? So I know you don't want to comment on that. The Chiefs have had a lot of shady guys come in there. Competition, Pete, is different. Pete Carroll's just got, yeah, you're a rookie. Oh, you're undrafted? Get on the field. Whoever's better is going to play. That's the era now that we're at here with the Raiders. That's where we're at right now with the Raiders. So when you sit there and you look at these backup defensive backs or the safeties, you know, Chin replacing Trayvon Merrick, I don't know how good Jeremy Chin is compared to Trayvon Merrick. I think he could be just as good, if not better. He's got to prove that he's better. Everybody who's coming to this squad, all the defense, everybody who's going to be competing at wide receiver, you got to get through practice with Pete Carroll and John Spytek. And they will evaluate every route, your body language, how you pick up your teammates when they fall, what you say in the media. They want winners here. And Geno's the quarterback. So if you want to get another quarterback early, then you really don't believe in Geno. And that's the focus of the monologue brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue. What a day for PTs today. Packed. Oh, wow. 70 taverns all over. Specials, drinks, everything you want. 5 to 7, midnight to 2. Head on out to any of the PTs locations that are here, and we'll dive into that. So if we get Shador at 6 and park him, fine. That's what Spytek and Brady wants to do. They want Shador. He fell to 6. You take him, you park him. Would they want to trade up from 6 to 2 or 3 to 2 with Cleveland to get Shador? I would doubt it. Then why'd they get Geno? So there's a spider's web. And I don't want to break the spider's web. I don't want to break a portion of the web. I don't know what's going on here. I just know that Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's in the building evaluating the quarterbacks with the scouts and the GM and the head coach. And they all report to Mark Davis. And they're going to tell Mark who they think they should take number 1 overall. I have opened up the latch. I have lifted up the gate. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in NFL draft mode starting now. And when I come back from the Raider cruise, we'll see where we go from there. Jumping in on that. I plan on it, and Bobby and I have been putting a little project together here where we're calling every mock draft guy that we've known for 20 years. Everybody who does a mock draft, we're trying to get them on the show. Trying to figure out who it is. Jackson Dart. You know, Jalen Milroe had this big workout. I talked to my son today. My son's working at the Big 12 Pro Day down at the Star in Dallas-Fort Worth. He's got 2 players there that he's working with. And I talked to my son about, the vibe of pro day and players that are coming out, running backs in general. And my son was pretty sharp, knows that Chip Kelly came here for a reason. Chip Kelly runs a specific offense that could cater to Geno and a certain running back. That running back might be coming from the Ohio State. Could be coming from Ohio State because Chip knows them. Chip doesn't have 3 or 4 years here. He could be here 12, Chip, but they got to get going now. So don't you think Chip might take a guy that he worked out with in practice and watched him every day in film study and put him in? That could change what we do. And then when it comes to T. McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, I now have Raider Nation throwing darts at him saying, well, he had a drop once. Oh, here we go. Oh, boy. Now guys are sending me video of the supersized, great number 1 wide receiver dropping a ball going up against Travis Hunter. Guys dropped the ball. They're in college. Question is, can they get you 10 receptions in the NFL for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns like Devontae Adams? I saw the other day Devontae is going to be playing in a tournament in Shadow Creek coming up here. And I'm like, well, Devontae lives here. Devontae did not want to be here anymore. And he got rewarded. He forced his way out. He made it clear he wanted out to the Jets. And just like Jimmy Butler, Devontae got rewarded to go to the Rams, one of the best teams in football. I don't like to reward that behavior, but I know, what can I do? If Devontae can play wherever he wants, so Devontae is going to play with the Rams on a really good team with Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua. But we got Brock, and we got Jacoby Myers. And if we get T. McMillan with Trey Tucker, depending on what happens with Big Mike, then the offense can go 4-5 wide with Geno under center. And then if we get the running back in the second round, because we took the wide receiver and our second round pick, which is high, is a starting running back, then I think the Raiders break the huddle with a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2, a tight end who's elite, a starting rookie running back, 3 starters on the offensive line. Oh, what did JT say? Why only 3? We got to fix that O-line. Okay, Andre James is gone for a reason. We love Andre James. They moved on from him because they have Jackson Powers Johnson. So we'll get into all that coming up. 702-365-9200. Raider Dave is in Denver in the monologue. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate opening up. You nailed it. You're exactly right about the running backs being something that Kelly has an interest in, and my point is he probably has influence there big time, because I don't know how many in Raider Nation remember, but Moser was in Frisco when Kelly was the head coach. I mean, so if you think Kelly's going to come in here and not have a say with Spytek, with Brady, with Pete, you're fooling yourself. So I do believe that you are right, and I wanted to bring that up, and you stole my thunder, but that's fine. We're lined up again here, JT. I think that running back position gets pulled later in the draft. Here's the big point I want to make is this team has holes. Everybody knows it. You cannot take a player at 6 that's going to be on the bench.
Yes.
Not this year, man. No way. So if they were going to move up and do this, they would have already worked something out. They decided on Geno. Geno's a winner. He's got experience with Pete. And that number 6 pick is either going to be Genty if they really want to do that, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be, once again, you take an impact player that's on the field now that can win on and off the field in Vegas, and that's T-Mac. Just like they took the biggest player and made an impact last year with Bowers. It's got to be T-Mac, man. There's no other way. And then they can go ahead and get back in if they want to go ahead and grab another quarterback to be ahead of Carter Bradley. Now, Carter Bradley got on the field. He didn't look terrible last year, but he's an undrafted free agent. The Raiders have 3 picks in the 6th round, and they could grab somebody that would be better than Carter, even taking somebody that late. But with 10 picks and maybe a little bit of movement back because teams 7, 8, 9, and 10 all want defensive linemen, the Raiders could get some equity by moving back 1 spot or 2 and still get T-Mac and have another pick to go ahead and jump back in late in the 1st round if they think an impact player falls down, or if they want to get even moved up a little bit further in the second round,
Right.
go ahead and make sure they grab that running back from OSU.
You got it, buddy. Great phone call. Chris in West Oakland, Raider Dave, start us off. When we come back, Pete Rose's son, Tyler Rose, will join us in studio. I'm going to talk about Pete Rose with his son. Pete just passed away. He's got a lot to say, and I can't wait. This will be pretty good. And I think I've met him once, but we'll see. I think he's going to do a good job. We're going to talk about the legacy of Pete Rose coming up. We'll do that. Bill Williamson, Levi Edwards, Nick Rubino. We got a busy show today, brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, my go-to vodka. Cool. I think yeah.
It's the morning tailgate.
It's Jason Fitz with
There he
Yahoo
is.
Sports.
When it's said and done,
There you go. Come on in. Billy Cancun, what's up, buddy? How are you? You find the place all right? See you. Where's Tyler? Get Tyler here. Come on in. Bring him on in. Just went to commercial.
Right offensive line in front of Ashton.
Tyler, how are you?
I think he is an NFL
JT, buddy.
He's a superstar.
The morning tailgate, weekdays at 7 a.m. on Raider
Grab a
Nation
seat.
Radio 920
Yeah,
AM.
how are you, buddy? Good to see you. That's Bobby who runs the show.
The place to catch all the madness this March.
Yeah, just sit
Join
in.
us for food and
Got
beverage
it.
specials from $3.
How are you?
Plus Las Vegas's best
Tough,
happy
huh?
hour with half off
Yeah.
all drinks, including premium pours, twice daily. Plus, ask your bar
Yeah.
host how you
Well,
can enter to win your share of $25,000
under
in
the
free
weather?
slot play just
little
by
under the
playing
weather
with
a
your
little
True
bit, but-
Rewards card.
Okay.
With over
How,
70
how's your
taverns,
family?
there is always
Rest.
a location near you. To find yours, visit ptstaverns.com today.
And how old are the kids?
You know, a lot of lawyers who advertise here don't even live here.
You're in the
First
midst
thing
of it.
about
Boys or girls?
They're not from around here.
Two
They
boys.
think our
I got two
capital is
boys,
Las
23
Vegas.
and 21.
They're not from around here.
So
I'm
I'm
Richard
10 years
Harris,
ahead of you,
and I am
man.
from
A little
Nevada.
longer than that, about
I
10
grew up
years.
here. I went to school here. I raised my
Is
family
he?
here. No one
Awesome.
knows Nevada like we do. If
How
you've been
great
injured,
would that
call
be?
me.
Yeah.
Richard Harris of the Richard Harris Law Firm. 444-4444. Just in
Good.
case.
We'll get into that. We'll get into
The
that. We'll be
Mark
back from
Patrick
commercial
Seminar
in
is
about 2
coming to
minutes.
Las Vegas Saturday,
Again, what I
April
want to do
5th
is just
for
talk
one
about
day only.
your dad's
Here,
legacy.
we talk about
And
how
how much he meant
hypnosis
to me. He
works to
gave me a
help
big
people
break.
lose weight or stop
Yeah,
smoking.
I'm not gonna nothing. Nothing. Zero. Nothing. Nothing. I have no interest in that. I want to make sure you do good. You do good and your family does good on that. For sure. So, a little March Madness today. What are you guys up to? Purdue? All right. What is? Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get them right up to that, Mike.
work on at the subconscious level the image or
Yeah.
snapshot of
Yeah.
yourself. If you have a
Yep.
healthy image,
And then
you'll track
Purdue.
that.
Is there a
We work
background
on
story with Purdue?
taking the pleasure association out for smokers that they have for smoking,
Yeah.
putting back in what they already know consciously. That
Did you like to partake? Yeah, I was down at the Strat. Yeah, did a show. It was good. I mean, I would say March Madness really kicks off today. So we were there with the promotion that they were doing there and kind of got the ball rolling. But yeah, it's good. I mean, this is Vegas' Super Bowl. Did your dad liked? I talk to your dad all the time. I don't remember him betting on college hoops.
Most of the interviews you did with him, I was sitting right next to him.
Yeah.
So I heard everything.
Yeah. Amazing. You know, he was good to me, man. He gave me the biggest break of my career. He let me co-host the Pete Rose show. And that's
a side of him that nobody knows. That they only know the Charlie Hustle side on the field, but they don't know really him as a person and what he did for a lot of people. He enriched a lot of people's lives, and took people off the street to give them opportunity and give them a successful career. He was a really people just don't know that side of him.
We'll get into that. Your dad was very generous too. I'm sure there's a lot of people he gave money to that you weren't even aware of, just people in need,
Sometimes
right?
a little too generous, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel about the Hall of Fame? I mean, Reggie Jackson.
Off the record?
Yeah, off the record. Yeah.
Fuck the Hall of Fame.
Right. Okay.
That's how we both felt about it. But we both knew that this was going to happen.
Right.
And he knew he was going to get in after he died. And I'm supposed to make a speech with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he always wanted. But he was happy being in the Cincinnati Hall of Fame. He was, but we knew this was going to happen.
You know, Reggie Jackson, who I was with this weekend, right? He told me the same thing. I've never heard anyone say it so eloquently. He said, Pete had a lifetime ban. His life has ended. Let him in, even though we all wanted him in 30 years ago. And, we'll lay off that too. But Trump helping with that.
Yeah, I did a little interview about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's have
I
fun.
actually wrote him a letter too.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. We got a good 12, 14 minutes, so let's make the most of this. Should go to Capo's tonight,
Here we
Billy.
go, guys. Mr. Meatball.
Yeah.
Everybody on their feet here in Cincinnati, the worldwide television audience watching these moments tonight here at Riverfront Stadium. 2-1 win from Chow in the left center. There it is. Rose has a good stop.
You got the action up there.
Pete Rose, big part of my life. And his son Tyler's in studio with me. And I greatly appreciate this, my friend. Condolences to you and your family on the loss of your dad. Thanks for sharing some time with me. How are you?
Great, JT. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you very much. Now, a couple of things I want to jump in with here. First off, this was a heavy loss, obviously, to you, and you're still grieving through
A lot
this.
of people, yeah.
And you represent the family. You represent your dad. You have 2 young sons. It's going to take a long time for you to heal over this. How are you and your boys, and how are you getting over it?
The boys are the only thing keeping me together. Without the boys, I don't know where I'd be. But we're doing good for the most part right now. Just taking one day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time. I mean, when he passed away, it really hit me hard. I want to talk about his legacy. And before we get into his legacy as a ball player, I want to get into his legacy as a father, because we were all flawed, right? I'm sitting here, I'm flawed, you're flawed. We all make mistakes. Your dad talked to me about some of the mistakes he made in his life, but I know what he did for other people. And you know that better than everybody else. You were by his side for all of this. How great was he as a man who helped others?
I've never witnessed anything like it. He was very special. Took people off the streets to give them jobs. Took care of everybody, friends, acquaintances, business, everybody. He just took care of everybody. He had like 12, 15 mouths to feed. Like, he took care of a lot of people. It was a really big blow. It hurt a lot of people, not just me and my kids and my family, but it hurt a lot of people in this room.
Yeah.
It hurt a lot.
Yeah, when we found the news, I saw your dad. The last time I saw him was at a conference here, and I wanted to share this with you. I brought my son, and I was talking to him for a few minutes, and I said, Pete, here's my son, John. And he walked away with my son for about 4 or 5 minutes and just talked to him. And I got really emotional, and my son came back, and he said, that's really important to me. I go, what'd he say? He just said how much we meant to each other. And then I told my wife about that, because your dad gave me my start on the radio. I won the Jim Rome Smack Off. I came into Vegas. I didn't have a radio show. I was doing overnights. And then Pete would come in at Sports Fan Radio Network, and he was our big celebrity. And then one day someone said, we can't find the right host for him. Will you do it? Pete said, you can do it. And I said, yeah. And they said, how much you want to pay? How much you going to pay me? They said, nothing. And I said, fine. I just want to be near Pete Rose. And he wasn't here every day, because that's when he was going back from the Ballpark Cafe to Vegas, back and forth.
Right.
But holy cow, the days I was with him and calling Henry Aaron and Nolan Ryan, and his phone would ring. How many great friends did he have in baseball that he kept in touch with on a daily basis?
Every day he'd get texts from anybody from A-Rod to Shaq to Rodman to Tyson to Charlie Sheen. Like, he'd get calls all the time. And then when he'd be done with his phone, and I needed a new phone, he'd give me his phone and all his old contacts. So I have all the old contacts in my phone. And I thought about calling them, all those celebrities, like every time I looked at my phone. But I never called him. But he kept in touch with everybody, from horse racing, jockeys, everybody.
How many athletes looked up to him? That's a great topic. Baseball players, obviously, but boxers, football players. You mentioned other athletes. When they'd go to a signing, he went to some of the biggest signings in the world, where across from him would be Bo Jackson. When he was alive, Mickey Mantle, or there'd be another celebrity, Dan Marino. And they all looked up to your dad, not only the all-time hit king, but just an icon that everyone grew up watching on TV.
Yeah, especially if they were from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah, they meant a lot to him. He was the king of Cincinnati.
What was it like being with him in Cincinnati compared to Vegas or anywhere else?
A lot of commotion. I mean, you can't walk anywhere without people stopping us for pictures and autographs. You can't even go to Cracker Barrel without getting interrupted 3 or 4 times.
Did he like the celebrity? And some guys don't. Did he love people coming up to him?
He loved it. He was he probably gave away more free autographs than anybody in the history of time.
Yes.
I know he sold a lot and did that for a living because that's all he could do, after the band. That's the only way he could make a living, but he gave a lot of free autographs away too, a lot, every day.
Tyler Rose joins us in studio. You're named after Ty Cobb? What an unbelievable. What's the backstory to that? Obviously, we know your dad's chasing Ty Cobb. You're born. How does that come about where you get that name and then live under that name your entire life?
Well, it was supposed to be Ty, and it is. My friends call me Ty, but his real name was Tyrus Raymond Cobb. My mom did not like Tyrus, so they changed it to Tyler. But it's still after Ty Cobb. But people call me Ty. My friends call me Ty.
Awesome. I want to ask about your sons and their relationship with their grandfather before your dad passed. What was that like?
He was you might not believe it, because he wasn't like that with a lot of other people, but he was a full-time hands-on grandpa. He went to all my kids' Little League games, went to their practices, gave speeches to the kids, motivational speeches. He's really good at that, by the way, He had a special bond with my youngest son, who's playing right now. All they would talk about is contracts and
wow.
Seriously,
and he's a good player. Your son's a really good player.
Yeah,
he's got a shot.
He's 10 years old, but he has the mind of like an 18, 19-year-old already. Like he already knows what he wants to do.
What were those conversations with you sitting there when your dad's talking to your son about spraying the ball, turning up the ball?
Listen.
What was it like?
It was almost like my dad was a second dad to my son, almost, not even a grandpa. They had a real special relationship.
Incredible. A couple of things going forward here. It's very delicate, the Hall of Fame. I told you I was with Reggie Jackson, and I know how you feel off the record, and we'll keep it off the record about the Hall of Fame. But there are so many people like me. I feel that I need to be front and center and help in any way possible. Not only forget about the Hall of Fame, just to keep his legacy alive, but it's such a big story. And a lot of people know it, but kids my age at 23 and 21 and your age kids, they're not going to know unless they hear from you or people like me on what a great player he was, what a great person he was. What do you want people to hear about your dad going forward over the next 5, 10, 20 years?
Well, I'm actually in the process of writing a book about all that and exposing all of that on and off the field of who my dad was. So people get a better grasp of not just the Charlie Hustle spiking the ball head first, but off the field as a human being. People don't know that side of him, and I'm going to make sure that they do.
That's fantastic. I'm sure that's going to be a tremendous success. A personal question, though, but you were the first person when he passed away, correct? You were the first person there to see him, and I'm sure that was really tough. And I can't imagine the phone calls you must have received after that and people wanting an explanation.
I had to put my phone down for a while. While I was still in the room, while he was still there, warm on the ground, I had already gotten up to 300-400 condolence messages, which it was like I was in the Truman Show. It's like, how did everybody know what was going on? I was still up there. The coroner hadn't even showed up yet, and my phone is ringing off the hook. Text. I got over 600 messages. I still have 96 messages. I haven't. They're unread messages yet. I haven't checked them all. It's been 5-6 months.
Excuse me. How is that even possible? I know TMZ and some of the breaking news outlets are professional and do that quicker, but you're in the room as your father's there, passed away. The coroner's not even there yet. And the whole world knows.
I have no idea. That hit me. That threw me completely off. I don't know how to fathom that. I don't know.
Is there a proper way to say goodbye for everybody else who? I mean, I understand what happened. The Cincinnati or Celebration of Life or going forward. There's going to be documentaries and books out. But what did your dad want? At the end, he talked to you about that when, he was thinking about his legacy going forward and how he wanted to be remembered. I'm sensing it was about the kids, right? Your grandkids.
It was all about the kids.
It was all about the kids.
All about, not me.
God.
It was all about the kids.
Yeah, that's heavy because I mean isn't that what a legacy is all about? I mean, we know 42-56, all-time hit king, the World Series, everything he did, the first ever $1 million player. I can rattle it off, but I really believe you, your family, but especially your kids and his grandson are his legacy. And I think if they end up telling the story, and maybe they're not comfortable talking about it when they get older, maybe one of them out of the two will be, but I think there's just so much more to say about
my
your
youngest
dad.
one will be. He's very outspoken. He's more like my dad. He's very, very aggressive. Like I was really good at sports, but I did not have that aggressive gene that my dad had. But my son has that. So he, you never know.
Was that hard for you not to be your dad that way? I mean, I'm not like my dad either. My
No,
dad's
I was really good, but it's like I could be the best on the team, but only give 70%, Like my dad wasn't the best, but he gave 190%, and that made up for all the shortcomings.
Yeah, I mean, I have a dad that I could never achieve what my dad's done, and I can't imagine. I can but that's not a baseball player. What it's like to live up to those expectations, and that had to be hard on you, especially in your developing years, to know you had a dad who was that famous, and you wanted to play ball.
I played ball, but high school I switched to basketball.
Okay.
So I kind of did that, and I did really well. I made it to the overseas China team.
Oh, wow.
And then I moved here when my girlfriend at the time got pregnant and had my kids out here, 2011.
Last one for me. It's not about auctions or memorabilia. Your dad made a lot of money doing that, but I'm sure you have a lot of personal items. You don't have to share it with maybe you want to share one. Or what is it like when you walk around now and see what's in front of you and how personal those memorabilia pieces
That's
are?
a good question. I walk upstairs, I walk to the kitchen, I walked in my room to the bathroom, and everywhere I look, there is something on the wall with a picture of or something, just pointing in my face every day. So it is kind of hard, but I don't want to take them down, obviously.
Yeah, leave it up.
Yeah,
leave it up. Let the kids see it. Hey, Tyler, thanks for doing this, man.
No problem.
And whatever I can do to help you and do anything in the community, and if there's a bigger path for me down the road to help telling the story on any level, please choose me, because I could never pay your dad back for what he did for me. I mean, it was pretty heavy, the impact that he had on my life, and I'm just happy we could share a
he
few
had the
moments.
same impact on a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, and I know you know that, but I want our listeners and audience to know that.
Yeah.
Tyler Rose, thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
You got it. When we come back, Bill Williamson will join us. We'll get into the Raiders draft as we continue. It's March Madness. We got scores coming up. But I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and hopefully we can get Tyler in here again as he gets close to his book launch and does some other things locally in town that we can help out with the legacy of Pete Rose. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. I hope that wasn't too hard on you.
It was hard.
Yeah. You know what? You're going to be doing more of this. So
I know.
Let's us, if you want to practice and work it out, do it with me. We'll do podcasts and all that. Thank you two guys.
No problem.
And stay strong, man. I know it's tough right now. I know it's tough.
That's one thing I can do is stay strong. My dad taught me to do that.
Yeah, and count on your friends, the guys who can count on to help you out along the way. And I'm hoping I'm one of them.
I've known him since I was a kid.
So, yeah, absolutely. You can trust him. He's like a brother to a lot of people. He'll treat you good. See you, my friend. Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you, buddies. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity, man. How did I not mention the Raiders code?
Oh, I know.
Let's show the Raiders. Show the Raiders code. Let me see the back of that code. Look at that. Wow.
You got to read the front of it.
Right.
Cool, man. You know what's funny about this jacket? Is I bought it when they signed Marshawn Lynch. I knew he wasn't going to play.
Oh, so it's the Beast Mode jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
they
you.
don't make them anymore.
That's a collector's item. Thank you, Tyler. Hey, Billy, I'll call you later. Thanks for doing this. And hey, let's get a lunch or something soon.
Okay.
Let's get a lunch together soon and get together.
Sure.
You got it, guys.
Enjoy the JT.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
That was great. Thank you so much. Wow, that was pretty deep. So that's what radio's all about, man. You know, you don't expect stuff like that. I got that call at 11 a.m. that they were on their way in, and he's going through a really difficult time, Tyler, as you can tell. Maybe if you could see, he's going through a really difficult time. But that was a tough interview because I loved his dad, and pretty emotional right now to see him there. So anyway. Let's get Bill on the line. Bill Williamson's on the line if you want to ask a direct question from a Raider insider.
Come see us at Finley Toyota before they're gone. We'll make sure you drive off in the truck you've always wanted at the price you deserve. Finley Toyota is Nevada's #1 selling dealership at the Valley Auto Mall in Henderson.
Tyler Rose, Pete Rose's son. That was interesting. I hope that young man survives this. I have a feeling he's going through a lot of tough stuff, and he needs his friends right now to get him through this. I mean, he found his dad. He was there. He's the guy who picked his dad up when his dad passed away and had to make the calls. And there is a big story to that, Bobby, about how did everybody find out? Who broke the news and told the world that Pete, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. And he's pretty shaken up about that.
Hey, Bill, Bobby, how you doing? Mike, I'll get something to give me about a minute and a half. Okay? He's all set. This is going to be North Carolina final call.
And remember, gift cards are available at For the Truck.
All right. So,
Okay. I'm going to keep this to the top of the hour, everybody, and then we're going to kind of spray off into college hockey and some other things. So appreciate everybody being here.
by the way, just so you know, right now I'm at 48.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold the break for an extra minute
Yeah.
or two, but it gets
Yeah.
to 58.
I got you. Yeah. You know, I think Pete passed away, if I'm right, 82. My dad's 86, going to be 87. You're lucky if your parents live into their 80s, into their mid-80s, into their 90s. I was expecting Pete. Pete's health went south pretty quick, his circulation and some of the issues. But I thought we had some time left with Pete. But I got a chance to say goodbye to him like I did. I had a chance to say goodbye to Jim Brown. And, you know, when you know someone's going to pass away, when you know it, you know, you just have, you know, he's going to die soon or she, you got to say goodbye. And I had a chance to say kind of goodbye to Pete, but not goodbye forever. So I'm struggling with that too. All right, let's do this.
All right.
Hey, short comeback. Just come back to me. I don't need anything.
By the Casa Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Bobby's going to Dead & Company tomorrow night. He's going to have a blast. Thanks to Tyler Rose, Pete Rose's son. That got emotional, especially when he left. If you're in my YouTube chat, you were able to see that. He had a beast mode Marshawn Lynch Raiders coat, and he wore that for Raider Nation. Bill Williamson, the longest tenured Raider insider here in Vegas. All right, Bill, we got about 10 minutes to get through everything here. Where do you think the Raiders are, in your opinion, after covering this team so many years after free agency?
Still very much in building mode, you know. I mean, thanks for having me again, JT. I mean, look, they got the quarterback taken care of, and that is job one, and that's obviously the biggest task, so that's a big thing. But, you know, they lost, 4 or 5 starters from that defense, and they got to replace them, and this is a team that had a lot of needs going into the offseason. So I think it's been a really interesting offseason. I think a lot of national, you know, experts, pundits, whatever you want to call them, are giving them good grades because they got Geno Smith, and, you know, they took care of Max Crosby, and that was preemptive, and that was obviously a good thing to take care of. I don't think, obviously, Max Crosby re-signed with the Raiders. I don't think there was as much drama there as some people might have wanted to be, but they got them done, and that's a good thing. But, yeah, there's still holes to be filled on this team, a lot of them.
And, Bill, when you saw the size of the players that replaced the secondary or what they've added to the secondary, it's tough to lose Robert Spillane, but they get a similar type player coming in out of Pittsburgh.
Do you notice something from covering Pete Carroll and the Legion of Boom and the size of the players he wants on the back end, and now how they want with John Spytek, maybe bigger bruisers and stronger players? Are the Raiders going to enter that realm in franchise history right here again?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, Pete Carroll likes what he likes, and he's had so much success with those defensive backs. So, yeah. But I care about are they good players? That's what counts. I mean, cares about the size. They got to be good players, and I just don't know if the people they've replaced the guys who left or upgrades at every situation. They got cheaper, but they also got older. So it's just an interesting thing. I think Pete Carroll and they're planning to coach these guys up. I think that the Christian Ellis thing plays into that. They look at him as a guy who they think maybe be a starter and fit what they do and give him a shot. But yeah, I mean, and I'm okay with not spending money to spend money because we know that doesn't always work. And this was not considered a great free agency class, and the way it's dried up, it really shows that. But you still got to field a team, and so I just don't know if we can say other than the quarterback, and that's a big good thing that they upgraded there. Have they upgraded? I don't know if they have.
Bill Williamson's our guest. And Bill, I think it's interesting now because they can do a lot in the draft, but they have to go 4 for 4. And they'll tell you they want to get 7 players. I get all that. I've been around the block. You want to get 2 starters, impact starters. And the Raiders, the former regime, were drafting guys who couldn't play. Tyree Wilson's for one, right? He just could not play coming off his injury year one. Damon Arnett was a bust. You got with these high draft picks, they got to nail it. So we know the Raiders need a starting wide receiver. I think Jacoby's really good. People don't consider him a 1. So if they want to get a younger, better receiver, there's really only 1 or 2, and they have the 6th pick overall. If they want Ashton Genty, he seems to be the star, but they could get other running backs. And I also think they need an interior offensive lineman and maybe a right tackle. Where do you stand on DJ Glaze going forward? You have him penciled in as a starter, or do you think they'll get someone better on cutdown day or free agency?
Yeah, I guess that's a question that'll be answered after training camp in the preseason. But yeah, I think there's bigger problems than DJ Glaze. I don't, there's enough holes that I don't think you look at that first, and maybe this staff likes Bear Munford better. Munford was a guy who was ahead of Glaze to start last year. So this is a new system, new coaches on offense. So maybe there'll be fits there that we weren't really counting on. So you can look and figure that there's holes in a lot of places, and that's kind of my point. And in the draft, I just think they're obviously not going to be able to fill everything. So do you get that running back first? There's the whole argument is it worth taking a running back that high? Well, if he's special and, you get Genty and you get Brock Bowers together for their careers, that's kind of a wow thing, I think. So that could be really difficult to pass up. But then you say, this is a really deep running back class, and you can get some quality running backs when they pick in the second round. That might not be the case at receivers. Over the last 5 years or so, it's been a really great wide receiver draft classes. That doesn't seem to be the field this year. So maybe you get that receiver in the first round. Yeah. I think the Raiders are in a good position to trade down from 6. I know that's not always exciting and maybe a little deflating on draft night if it happens, but it can be smart. So if you go down to that 11, 13, I think San Francisco could be an interesting trade partner because they can maybe get up and take a Mason Graham, who I think would fit well with the Raiders as well. But I think the 49ers might be willing to move up. The Raiders go down to 11, get maybe a bottom second-round pick, a high third-round pick, and then you get a receiver there at a really comfortable place. And then you got more ammo there on day 2.
Yep, Bill Williamson as we wrap it up. So, Bill, the one last thing, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, that I'm fascinated by is this Geno Smith contract extension, because I thought that Seattle did a hell of a job for the price they got Darnold. It wasn't a lot of money for Darnold. I thought he deserved more, even if he came to Vegas or Seattle. I wanted Darnold here. I think he's a hell of a player, and I didn't think the price tag was that big for him. So what do you think the Raiders are looking at with the Darnold price tag in Seattle as they're negotiating with Geno? And we're sensing that they, the Raiders haven't made it official, but enough insiders are saying that they restructured Christian Wilkins' contract and they have all this cap money. What do you think they're doing behind the scenes financially?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think, the numbers that were out there in Geno, the recorded speculated numbers were between 40 and 45, and that's exactly what the numbers that I had heard, that he wanted about 50 a year from Seattle, but Seattle wasn't going to go there, but that he might take less elsewhere. So that's what I think is. Did I think that they'd get this thing done by now? Yeah. But do I think people should be worried and wringing their hands? No. Again, I would be surprised, and I've been surprised before, but I don't think there's any anguish going on or angst.
Yeah.
I just think they got time. It's no big deal. They're taking their time on both sides. I wouldn't think this is a bad situation. Again, I'm not reporting that all is good. I just would be surprised if it wasn't. And I think it'll just take care of itself.
I agree with you. Bill, I'm heading out on a Raider cruise. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. I always appreciate you.
Hey, have fun, man.
Thank you. You got it, Bill Williamson. Silver and Black Pride, all of his reporting. He is connected. Been doing this, covering the Raiders as long as anybody I know. That's why he's right in this slot as one of our insiders. Wow, what an hour. That hour was really unique. Tyler Rose, Pete Rose's son, in studio, live. Bill Williamson. Now we have the coach of UNLV hockey. They won a national championship, Levi Edwards. The president of Virgin Hotels, Cliff Atkinson. Look at me today, man. I'm like a cruise ship director. I got everybody putting on shows, hanging out on the 17th deck in the pool. I'm running this show with Bobby. It's only hour one. It's done. Hour two coming up next. Brought to you by La Casa Cigars. Live entertainment 7 nights a week.
It's March.
All right, do your thing. Nick's going to call in, ask if it's Rabone or Raboni. Okay? Got it. Thank you, everybody. Captain Stubing, yes. Still got some hair. Still got some. We will be back tomorrow for a 1 hour live stream from noon to 1. I'll be here for 2. Bobby's off tomorrow. That means I got to work harder. Thanks for everything so far this week. Get back to March Madness and enjoy it. I hope you win some bets. Snow Raider, thank you. Big Deep, outstanding everybody. Kenny, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.